are the two players to make way for Anthony Daly's team. Ryan O'Dwyer has recovered from a facial injury. Conal Keaney will move out the field. There's one late change on the Wexford team. Bobby Kenny has come in at left corner back for Keith Rossiter, who was injured in the warm-up. Lee Chin is in from the start, having impressed when coming off the bench last Saturday night. Jack Guiney will be hoping for another big game after his excellent performance in the first match. So a place in the Leinster semi-final against Kilkenny up for grabs. Brian Gavin of Offaly is the referee, and the game underway. A very good crowd in Parnell Park on the north side of Dublin, and a bad pull from Kieran Kenny already on Danny Sutcliffe of Dublin at a flashpoint in this game in the opening seconds. So much at stake. There's the pull from Kieran Kenny, and Brian Gavin, the referee, wasn't too far away, got a good view of that, and a yellow card coming in the first minute for Kieran Kenny of Wexford. So from the resulting free, Paul Ryan, brought into the Dublin team by Anthony Daly, gets the opening score. Dublin lead in Parnell Park. This puck out from Gary Maguire will land right down on top of Ryan O'Dwyer, and he's been caught by Andrew Shaw, the Wexford centre-back, the player who hurls with Parnell's not too far from Parnell Park. And another flare-up with the two sets of players, and the referee is going to have some job bringing this back under control. It's been a tempestuous affair already, and we're only, 6 minutes in, and Andrew Shaw and another Wexford man down on the ground. There was an incident involving Shaw and one of the Dublin players a little earlier, and it's a red card for Andrew Shaw. Wexford down to 14 players. They've lost their centre-back, and that is a huge blow to Wexford's chances of making the Leinster semi-final. Real issues for Liam Dunn, the Wexford manager, to deal with already. Conal Keaney of Dublin firing the ball in low. Their tails up and a goal chance, and Ryan has put it in the back of the net. Paul Ryan with the Dublin goal after 13 minutes. Wexford down to 14 players, and Ryan with the finish, making a point to Anthony Daly. That's Bobby Kenny with the long clearance. Wexford desperate for something to happen, and they might have an opportunity here. Chance for a score, and it's taken by Gareth Sinnott, the Wexford captain. They badly needed that. A goal behind. Another huge puck out from Gary Maguire. Caught nicely by Conor McCormack. Chance here for Dublin, and it's Johnny McCaffrey, the midfielder, going very nicely. Oh, Peter Kelly up from fullback. Kelly from Lucan Sarsfields, and that's gone over the bar. They can do no wrong at the moment, Dublin. Good score from Kelly, and the Dublin fans happy with what they are seeing so far. Wexford with just 4 points to show for their efforts, and Gareth Sinnott appears to have collided with Peter Kelly. A big reaction from the Dublin followers over in that corner of Parnell Park. Now, just what did the referee Brian Gavin see? They've already lost Andrew Shaw to a red card after an incident with Ryan O'Dwyer. Not the clearest replay in the world, but Kelly has gone down clutching his head. It's all about what the referee saw. Well, he saw enough to give a yellow card to Gareth Sinnott. Peter Kelly okay to continue. Gary Maguire's long free, huge distance, sun in the eyes of the attackers, not in the eyes of Conal Keaney, and that is a great score from Conal Keaney. Brilliant catch from the Dublin forward, and a wonderful finish too off his right. What a brilliant bit of fielding, and Conal Keaney stretching Dublin's lead. Lee Chin of Wexford struggling to make any headway, surrounded by 4 Dublin players. And Dublin go on the attack again. David Tracy from way out the field, and that's a lovely strike from Tracy, right out of the sweet spot and over the bar. It's been Dublin's first half, no question about it. Mark Fanning. It came off the hand of Liam Rush. Wexford desperate to make a bright start to the second half, and Harry Kehoe with the shot and with the point for Wexford. Badly needed at the start of the second half. McCaffrey's clearance for Dublin. Sun causing all sorts of problems again, though Conal Keaney doesn't seem to be bothered by it at all. And now David Tracy through for Dublin. Tracy with a goal chance for the home team. Brilliant save from Mark Fanning. How did he keep that out? It had goal written all over it. It's gone out for a 65. Stunning save from Mark Fanning to deny David Tracy. Donnycarney Church, the landmark of Donnycarney Church, visible in the background. Here's Johnny McCaffrey of Dublin, their captain. Staying calm and cool. Conal Keaney, just lord of Parnell Park this evening. Keaney getting free. The Wexford defenders can do nothing about it. And Keaney having one of his best games in a Dublin shirt, just when they need him the most. Peter Kelly across for Dublin, having another very fine game at full-back for them. Now, what's at the end of this for Dublin? The Wexford defence just all over the place. Another score for David Tracy. That full-back line being pulled apart time after time. Seemed to hang in the air for a very long time. Wexford desperate for something to happen. Here's Podge Doran, had some really fine moments last Saturday night at Wexford Park, and he's having another one now. Podge Doran for Wexford. That was so badly needed. They're a long way back, 114-8. Danny Sutcliffe in after it. And Wexford with Lee Chin trying to relieve the pressure on that overworked full back line. Now it's Gareth Sinnott, the Wexford skipper. Nobody near him, and the game getting stretched now, and Wexford hanging on just. Big gaps opening up all over Parnell Park as this game reaches its conclusion. Here is Paul Ryan now. Ryan going for goal and just missing it. That was so close, and Mark Fanning in the Wexford goal could do very little about this. Brilliant power in it, and it was that close. Anthony Daly's men almost there. Wexford really seeking consolation scores now at this stage. Their chance, it would appear, is gone. It was last Saturday night at Wexford Park. Here's Rory Jacob, pulled on first time, but not a particularly good clearance. Here's Lee Chin with the hand pass across, and Chin out to Paul Morris, and Morris slots that over. Takes the bleak look off the scoreboard. Is there another goal in this for Dublin? It's Paul Ryan, he's hooped, and the clearance in the end, and there is the full-time whistle. It's Kilkenny next for Dublin. Wexford head for the qualifiers. The full-time score here at Parnell Park. Dublin 117, Wexford 12 points.
Disappointed we lost the game, you know, but, you know, Dublin were the better team on the night, and I suppose it's hard enough to beat Dublin with 15 men, but when you're 14 for the length we had, you know, but look what that happens in the game, and unfortunately we lost Andrew early on, and, you know, we fought to the end, and disappointed we lost the game, but look, we have to just dust ourselves down and get ready for next week.
I think the 10 minutes before half-time were vital. Like, we managed to stretch the lead, I think, from 5 out to 8, so, you know, that gave you a bit of breathing space for the second half, and like, the extra men always told in. We were sloppy at times again, like, but look, that's our 4th time playing Wexford this year. We haven't lost, like, so, you know, someone told me that a few years ago. I'd nearly taken it, but no, look, we're trying to move on. Obviously, people would be saying we'd be as well off to lose it, maybe, with the way the draw is, you know, whoever makes these draws up. But look, we'll look forward and have a real go next week, and, you know, we'll be up against it, but sure, it's great to be there. Leinster semi-finals, not to be sniffed at.
So that's the situation in Leinster hurling. Galway in the provincial final, where they'll play either Kilkenny or Dublin, who meet next Sunday in Portlaoise. Now, general questions on it. First of all, Dublin in the final against Kilkenny, or in the semi-final against Kilkenny on Sunday. Neither performance has been hugely impressive. What do you think of their chances, Don?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, like, Dublin weren't outstanding by any means last night, but they still did the business. They still won the game. You could say after a couple of minutes when the Wexford sending off happened that the game was almost said and done. Then it was a big ask for Wexford going into Parnell Park. I think the big thing for Dublin is, look, 12 months ago in Portlaoise, they were humiliated by Kilkenny. You know, a lot of hurling people all over the country, including myself and even some other Cork lads, came up. We were expecting a big performance from Dublin. You can imagine a Dublin player the next morning afterwards thinking what he would give for another shot, a shot at redemption, if you like. And, you know, I think the Dublin need to head into that game, throw off the shackles, have a cut. They've absolutely nothing to lose. You know, for the last year or two, there's been maybe a bit of a cloud over Dublin hurling, but they should remember that, 5 years ago, they weren't in as strong as a position as they are now. They've, been in the Leinster final. They've won a national league. Their underage success has been really good. Anthony Daly's time as Dublin manager will be looked back in a positive light. And I'd like to see Dublin going out next Sunday and having a real cut-off at Kilkenny.
You were at the match, Michael, last night, and one of the big talking points in reaction to us was there were several unsavoury incidents in it.
Well, that's putting it mildly, Des. First of all, I'd say I love hurling and hard hurling and tough hurling, but I left and I have great time for Wexford and Wexford hurling, the lads I played against in the 80s and 90s. But what I witnessed last night made me very, very angry, I have to be honest, particularly from the Wexford players. I thought their attitude, their ill discipline, like nobody has a right to go out in a hurling field and pull across another guy's head, and I saw several examples of it last night. And I thought it was absolutely disgraceful. I was angry last night, I'm angry now. You see from the throw-in, Kieran Kenny here, wild pull. Now, Brian Gavin, a very experienced referee, straight away, in the first second of the game, he gives a yellow card. He lays down the tone. I'm not taking any nonsense. A lot of refs in that instance would just give the free, but he gave the yellow card, and that doesn't look as bad, but I was there behind it. It was high, it was reckless, and he said, OK, that's right. Now, if you watch here, the Dublin number 10, Conor McCormick, he breaks his hurl, and he jabs Andrew Shore, who's involved in the next incident. A very bad jab. I think we're going to see it here now. Andrew Shore comes in and he stands on his hurl, and Conor McCormick's hurl. And you see the broken hurl there in his hand, about 18 inches of it. And when we play on then, he jabs Andrew Shore straight into the stomach with it, very dangerous. No place in the game for it, and he could have done a bad injury with a jagged hurl. Andrew Shore got back on his feet, I was watching it, and the next ball comes down the middle from the puck out. And Liam Dunn said after the game the sun was in his eyes. If the sun is in your eyes, you go up and you bat the ball wherever. He pulled straight across Ryan O'Dwyer's head, made no attempt to play the ball. You watch it here, he just stands back and nowhere near the ball. Lets the ball straight in past him. Terrible stroke, got the red card. But this to me is a worse incident. Peter Kelly is fullback, he gets out in front of his man. You have to remember that Garrett Sinnott is playing in. He's a wing forward. He makes no attempt to go for the ball. He just hits Peter Kelly straight down top of the head, and the referee gives him a yellow card. Whatever, he must have thought there was no intent, not as much intent or whatever. I think, careless play. But to me, the man is out in front, and those sort of incidents, it ruined the game for me. I don't know where that sort of, anybody thinks they can go out in the field and play like that. And to me, the game was very, very poor. The attitude was very, very poor. And Wexford did in the second half improve. And Dublin, I think for a finish-up, the Dublin players were actually afraid on the field. They weren't going for balls in the air, they were backing out of tackles, and I wouldn't blame them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I was talking to a couple of the Dublin players now, and I said, it was what you'd expect in a championship replay, but there was a big long ruck as well in it. You
shouldn't expect someone to hit you on top of the head when you're going for the ball, 4 or 5 feet away from the ball.
No, you should not.
I saw a Dublin player cringing at the end, and it's not out of cowardness, it's out of fear of getting struck. They didn't know where the next belt was going to come from.
Look, there's the game. It's hurling is an intense and passionate sport, but the reality is that you can't condone that, and I don't think it does either the game or anybody else any favours. There's nothing manly about using a hurley and jabbing a player, and there's nothing manly about hitting a player into the head. Okay,
these rucks do happen a lot, and maybe there's a lot of handbags in it, I don't know, but let's have a look. This happened 2 or 3 times last night, didn't it?
Well, I think what we're going to see here, it's almost unique. It's it's pretty amazing when you see the amount of players that get around the ball. I have a big thing in hurling about the use of the spare hand. I think it's a major issue in that, if you look at some of the players here, they're almost playing like it's rugby, and they're tackling guys. And if you can't use both hands in hurling, you can't get away with the play. The other thing I would question here is Brian Gavin. I know referees are under pressure. They're trying to keep the game going. They're under pressure from the crowd. They don't want to be blown. They're hurling men themselves. But, that type of ruck that's developing is becoming very common in hurling. And I think that it's, the use of the spare hand is one of the biggest curses that we see in the game at the moment.
I think you'd have to ask the question there, Donald. The ball was there for a long time. It was still moving, so the referee can't stop it. But what were the players doing there? What were they hoping to achieve? Where's their positions? We're talking about coaching and training. Like, there was 15 players, I think, in that caption, within 5 yards of the ball. So when someone got it, what were they going to do? Where were they going to pass it? Or what were they going to do? So where are the